A familiar name from past Pentagon public affairs operations, John Ullyot, is departing the Defense Department this week, adding another layer to a period already characterized by significant internal disruption. His resignation comes just days after several political appointees were placed on administrative leave amid leak investigations, and follows recent difficulties in managing public communications surrounding sensitive military operations. While Ullyot cites a specific disagreement concerning his hierarchical position under Secretary Pete Hegseth as the reason for his exit, his history within the department includes notable controversies, such as the reassignment of media workspaces and defending the removal of online content detailing Jackie Robinson's military service. This convergence of individual career trajectory and broader institutional turbulence provides the immediate context for his departure. His explicit statement points to a fundamental disagreement over his position within the public affairs hierarchy, stemming from an unwillingness expressed before the inauguration to serve in a subordinate capacity. The appointment of Sean Parnell as chief Pentagon spokesperson in February effectively actualized this scenario, creating the conditions Ullyot had indicated were unacceptable for his continued service beyond a pre-agreed temporary period, despite his affirmed support for Secretary Hegseth personally. This personnel dispute unfolds against a backdrop of acute internal pressure within the Pentagon. The placement of 3 political appointees, including senior aides to Secretary Hegseth and Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg, on administrative leave this very week due to an active leak investigation, underscores a climate of significant turbulence surrounding the department's senior civilian leadership. Further complicating the operational environment was the recent challenge involving Secretary Hegseth's disclosure of sensitive strike details in Yemen via a signal chat. The subsequent difficulties in formulating a coherent public response highlighted existing friction points in the department's communication management, forming part of the immediate, challenging context Ullyot now exits. Examining Ullyot's prior tenure reveals a history intertwined with contentious decisions. His time acting as head of the press shop early in the Trump administration saw him authorize the memorandum removing established media organizations, including Politico, from Pentagon workspaces, simultaneously reallocating those facilities to conservative outlets like Breitbart and One America News Network. More recently, Ullyot assumed a defensive posture for the department following the removal of numerous military web pages related to diversity initiatives in March. This included publicly justifying the deletion of content detailing the military service of baseball pioneer Jackie Robinson, the figure who broke baseball's color barrier in 1947, an action that drew considerable external scrutiny. His career trajectory before returning to the Pentagon involved significant roles across government and political campaigns, including communications leadership at the National Security Council under the first Trump administration and as Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs at the Department of Veterans Affairs. This extensive background in high-level communications, combined with his status as a Marine Corps veteran and a senior role in the 2016 Trump campaign, shaped his approach within these politically sensitive environments. Therefore, Ullyot's departure occurs at the nexus of specific personal career considerations, active internal investigations targeting close associates of the leadership, recent public affairs missteps, and his own track record of involvement in polarizing departmental actions. The event signals ongoing adjustments and potential volatility within the structure responsible for shaping the Defense Department's public narrative during a period of notable internal stress. While Ullyot presents his departure as a straightforward outcome of a personnel arrangement discussion initiated before the inauguration, its occurrence precisely during a week defined by leak investigations implicating Secretary Hegseth's immediate staff introduces a contrasting element. The timing places his personally cited reason alongside a period of intense organizational stress centered very near the department's leadership, prompting consideration of the broader operational atmosphere. His declaration of continued strong support for Secretary Hegseth stands in noticeable tension with the core fact that the inability to agree on a suitable role under Hegseth's leadership is the explicit trigger for his resignation. This juxtaposition highlights the difference between stated personal allegiance and the practical necessities of professional placement and function within the existing command structure. Furthermore, contrasting Ullyot's history of executing impactful, albeit controversial, initiatives like the media workspace changes or defending the diversity content removal, with his more recent effective sidelining following Sean Parnell's appointment as chief spokesperson, reveals a significant shift in his operational standing. This diminution of his role precedes the final disagreement, suggesting the ground for his departure, based on his aversion to a secondary position, had already been prepared by evolving internal dynamics within the Public Affairs Office. Delving deeper into the specifics of Ullyot's tenure reveals a consistent through line connecting his actions to broader administration objectives regarding media engagement and internal departmental messaging priorities. The decision concerning media workspaces, for instance, was not merely logistical, but represented a deliberate reshaping of the information environment accessible to journalists covering the Pentagon, favoring outlets perceived as more aligned with the administration's viewpoint. Similarly, his defense of the removal of diversity-related content, including the notable Jackie Robinson example, positioned the Public Affairs Office squarely behind a policy shift, reflecting specific ideological currents influencing personnel and historical representation matters within the military. These actions demonstrate a willingness to engage in and publicly justify controversial policy implementations that extended beyond routine public affairs duties. Consequently, his exit removes a figure directly associated with these particular approaches to communication and information management during a sensitive period. It occurs precisely when the department faces heightened scrutiny over information security practices, evidenced by the ongoing leak investigation and the prior Yemen strike disclosure incident, potentially signaling a juncture or reevaluation point in how such matters are handled moving forward. The combination of his extensive background within Trump administration communications structures, NSC, VA 2016 campaign, and his recent departure following a disagreement over hierarchical placement suggests the complexities of integrating experienced political operatives into evolving departmental structures under new leadership. His trajectory illustrates the inherent friction that can arise when established personnel preferences clash with new organizational configurations, particularly in high-visibility roles deeply affected by political context. Looking beyond the immediate personnel change, Ullyot's exit contributes to a perception of ongoing turbulence within the Pentagon's senior civilian management. This turnover, following closely on the administrative leave actions against other political appointees and the earlier public affairs difficulties, potentially signals instability at a critical interface between the military institution and the public sphere. The situation underscores the inherent complexities of managing politically appointed personnel within the career structures of the Defense Department. Ullyot's explicit reason for leaving, a disagreement over hierarchical placement stemming from pre-inauguration discussions, highlights the friction that can arise when individual expectations shaped by previous political roles collide with evolving organizational needs and leadership decisions under a new secretary. Consequently, the consistency and strategic direction of Pentagon communications could face near-term challenges. The departure of an experienced, albeit controversial, figure like Ullyot, particularly amidst investigations touching Secretary Hegseth's inner circle, necessitates adjustments within the public affairs apparatus and may influence how effectively the department navigates future sensitive disclosures or policy announcements. This event therefore holds implications not just for internal staffing but for the Pentagon's external posture. How the department manages its narrative, ensures information security, and maintains credibility with the press, Congress, and international partners is intrinsically linked to the stability and effectiveness of its communications leadership, a structure currently experiencing notable flux. Tracing the sequence leading to this resignation reveals a clear progression rooted in pre-established conditions. Ullyot himself framed the terms before the inauguration, explicitly stating his non-interest in a subordinate public affairs role and offering temporary service instead, setting a 2-month timeline for his acting capacity. The appointment of Sean Parnell as chief Pentagon spokesperson in February altered the internal landscape, effectively creating the precise hierarchical situation Ullyot had stipulated he would avoid long-term. This objective change in the command structure directly precipitated the scenario Ullyot had anticipated. Subsequently, as the offered 2-month temporary period neared its conclusion, discussions between Ullyot and Secretary Hegseth regarding a potential alternative assignment proved unsuccessful. This failure to identify a mutually agreeable good fit directly fulfilled the negative condition outlined in Ullyot's initial understanding with the Secretary. The announcement of his departure at the end of this week is therefore the direct, stated consequence of that specific impasse reached last month following the earlier appointment of Parnell. It represents the culmination of a personnel discussion whose parameters were defined well in advance. This entire sequence, driven by Ullyot's specific career preferences and the resultant personnel decisions, unfolds concurrently with, yet is presented as distinct from, the acute internal turmoil surrounding the leak investigations that surfaced publicly just this Tuesday and Wednesday. His stated rationale points solely to the role disagreement, positioning his exit as parallel to, rather than caused by, the separate investigation involving Hegseth's aides. The direct cause articulated by Ullyot for his resignation is the failure to secure a role aligning with his pre-stated condition of not serving as a subordinate in public affairs. This specific outcome directly results from the discussions last month with Secretary Hegseth, where no alternative good fit could be identified, triggering the departure he had previously indicated would follow such an impasse. This inability to find a suitable position was itself an effect of Sean Parnell assuming the chief spokesperson role in February. Parnell's appointment effectively occupied the primary public affairs leadership slot, thereby diminishing the available senior roles and creating the very subordinate dynamic Ullyot sought to avoid, setting the stage for the conclusive talks with Hegseth. While Ullyot's past controversial actions, like the media workspace reallocation or defending the Jackie Robinson content removal, do not feature in his stated reason for leaving, they form the backdrop against which his departure is viewed. These actions established his profile as a figure willing to execute polarizing policies, influencing how his exit, regardless of its stated cause, resonates both inside and outside the Pentagon. Consequently, his departure effectively removes from the Pentagon's public affairs team an individual closely associated with specific, contentious communication strategies from both the early Trump administration and more recent months. This change in personnel could, in turn, influence the future direction and tone adopted by the office, particularly regarding interactions with media and the handling of sensitive internal policy debates. The pronounced internal instability marked by the leak investigation and the administrative leaves imposed this week creates an environment where any senior departure attracts heightened attention. Although Ullyot separates his resignation from these events, the effect of this timing is an unavoidable perception of compounded turbulence within the Defense Department's senior civilian ranks, potentially impacting morale and operational focus within the affected offices. Ultimately, John Ullyot's resignation crystallizes the convergence of predetermined personal career conditions, with the Department of Defense navigating considerable internal friction. His departure, while attributed to a specific disagreement over role, occurs within, and is inevitably viewed through the lens of broader institutional pressures manifested by ongoing investigations and recent public affairs difficulties involving senior leadership. This confluence results in the removal of a notable and historically controversial figure from the communications structure precisely when that structure faces heightened scrutiny, signaling a period of transition and potential recalibration for the Pentagon's public voice amidst tangible operational and political challenges. The event underscores the delicate balance required to manage senior appointments and maintain cohesive messaging within the complex environment of national security. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this analysis, and be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more geopolitical insights like this. I love hearing your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. Share this video with anyone interested in deeper perspectives on current events. Until next time, stay informed and think critically. Thank you.